So am I the only one that thinks WWE is boring? Maybe. But let's see, because it feels repetitive. It feels like we're watching the same thing every week. And don't get me wrong, if you watch week to week like I do, or some, hardcore fans do, you might start to pick up on these patterns. You'll start to pick up on the patterns for the storylines, for certain character arcs, for really just the whole landscape in general. You'll kind of see where they're going with certain stories. But right now, it feels like we're stuck in a loop. I think WWE is trying to figure out the next big thing, but they definitely feel like they are in some sort of loop and they need to break out of that. And what I mean by that is the same formats, the same matches, the same promos. I don't know how many times we're going to watch Seth Rollins come out and cut the same promo and talk about how he's the future of the WWE. I get it. It's one of those things where when you do watch it on a week-to-week basis, they will kind of just fall back into the same thing. And that's the thing. I just think WWE right now is in a loop. I think they're trying to figure out that next big thing. Last year, when The Rock slapped Cody, turned heel, and sided with Roman, that was out of left field. That was random. That's the thing that WWE needs to capture again. They need to see what is something they can do to kind of just swerve the audience, because there's really not much fun when you can watch wrestling and you just could predict everything that's going to happen, right? You kind of see the outcome, you see the turn, you see where the story ends, and I don't see the fun in that. I want to be surprised. I want to be on the edge of my seat. So I'm kind of wondering why a lot of fans like to speculate. And don't get me wrong, I love speculating. I love sitting here and trying to speculate. And the problem is a lot of times we're kind of right. And I think that's the problem, right? It's not a good thing to be right all the time. So I saw some news circulating that they're going to have WrestleMania at Las Vegas again. And I was wondering why. And it just makes a lot of sense now. It's just the UFC model, right? It's a tourist spot. I always thought wrestling at some point would become a type of business that relies on residencies. And essentially it's what NXT kind of is, right? Like, you wanted to watch NXT, you have to go watch it at the Performance Center. You want to watch Raw, you have to watch it over here. You want to watch SmackDown, you have to watch it over here. And it's kind of like how TNA used to do it back in the day. Maybe they still do it now. I don't really watch TNA that much. I don't know if they switch around, but back in the day, it was the Impact Zone, Orlando, Florida. You kind of make it feel special as well, right? You make it more intimate. It's more exclusive. And I think professional wrestling in general thrives when it's doing something exclusive, right? I think you have to bring that back. One of the things that I really enjoyed watching was PWG, and I made a video about that right here. And what I spoke about was the exclusivity of it and why it was such a special brand to watch and what made you want to watch PWG. And I think that's what's missing right now from the WWE. And I think in general with professional wrestling, I think we're missing that exclusivity. We're missing something. There's something that's not there that we need to bring back. It's pretty obvious at this point. WWE's model is to just make money, and it's a business. Of course it's going to try to make money. It's going to do certain things to make certain things happen, but to me, if you decide to just focus on the money and you don't focus on the talent and you don't focus on the stories and what you want to plan 2, 3, 4, 5 years in advance, you might have a problem, right? Because you're not really creating a fan base, because now it's no longer about larger than life characters. And I think they just have a predictability problem, right? I mean, there's so many instances where you see them do the same story for 2 different teams, right? They kind of do this with Karrion Kross, to be honest. With him, it's almost like a stop and go. Again, for some reason, they gave him this big promo the night of WrestleMania, and he hasn't really done anything to capitalize on it, right? I made a video on that. I wanted to talk about that. I was really hoping they would capitalize on it and hoping that they would just jump on the fact that this dude has a fan base now. People are actually watching and actually buying his merchandise. They need to do something quick. But who knows? Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Why is WWE boring right now? WWE always has this slope after WrestleMania, but for some reason, they didn't recover after last year's WrestleMania. Every WrestleMania, there's a slope that happens, right? There's a downturn for a little bit where it just gets boring. It picks back up at the Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber, into WrestleMania, so on and so forth. But the problem is, like, they didn't really pick up after Cody won the World Championship from Roman, right? They had little things, right? Like Jacob Fatu appearing played a big role in that. I think they did a lot of good things after WrestleMania last year, but I just don't think they really picked up on that momentum. I really think they should have done something interesting with Cody as champion. I just think they need to throw the rule book out the window and they need to just start thinking out the box, right? They need to start doing things differently, because as soon as they start doing that, not only do the stories change, but the way people think changes, right? That all plays a big part, because it's all about perspective, right? Put certain people in certain positions and see what they're going to do, right? It's pretty obvious at this point. Seth Rollins' team, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, please do not have them wear suits anymore. I'm begging you. We do not need J&J security, because these guys are monsters and you've relegated them to just side dudes now. Seriously, they're sidekicks. At this point, they're just very good sidekicks. Take the suits off of them. Let them wear what they need to wear, because they are special by themselves. But the trajectory is pretty obvious, right? I mean, either Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker decide Seth is no longer needed and they throw him out, or Braun Breaker just sees that they are all no longer needed and Paul Heyman has just done all this just to get close to Braun Breaker, which seems to be obvious at this point. Braun Breaker is obviously going to be a future star, and I think this is obviously the next thing to get him to the next level, which is to probably beat Seth Rollins and take the World Championship off of him. Who knows? They continuously try to change things, but then they kind of fall back into the same routine. So I'm really hoping WWE just kind of figures it out. Hopefully they can put some new ideas into the mix and see what comes out of it. But let me know what you guys think down below. What do you guys think? Do you guys think WWE is boring? What do you guys think they can do better to make you watch it on a week-to-week basis? If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. And for more content, hit the subscribe button. I'll see you guys later.